Hello, Flak Pack. It's Sunday night, and you know what that means. The newest video has been uploaded to the Flak Pack YouTube channel. Remember to like, subscribe, and share the channel, and give us feedback on the video and let us know what you think of it. Now, this is a 1945 Hanel manufactured StG44 marked assault rifle. In the United States, this particular one is classified as a curio in relics, meaning it derives the bulk of its monetary value or collector's importance from its association with historical time period or personality. Being the world's first assault rifle, that's what makes it attractive as a collector's item. Now I'm going to show you how to do a field strip on it, but first we're going to do as we always do. Remove the magazine. Clear the rifle. Now to start out with, we're going to remove the stock. Now you'll recognize this pin is still in use on H&K rifles. Push the little spring in, push it down with your finger. Get a hold of the stock, remove the pin, release the spring pressure from the stock. It helps if you loosen up your sling too, which I neglected to do. So now, when field stripping it, I always leave the stock on, because it's just another step I don't need added in. If I'm out in the field cleaning it, I'm very, very, very cautious. When I remove the pin for the stock, I immediately put it in the pocket of my tunic. Any small parts that are removed immediately go in the pocket of the tunic, even if they're filthy and dripping with oil. They're way more important than the tunic. So you can see now the trigger group swings down freely. At this point, we'll grab the bolt handle, withdraw it to the rear, and you'll see the bolt carrier and the bolt itself are now lifted out. If you really need to, all you have to do is unsnap the clip, unsnap the forearm, and you can remove it, and it's just a piece of tin. But you can see the barrel with the original markings on it in beautiful blued condition. The Waffen amp right there. All the main and important Waffen amps are in place here. FXO, all the right Waffen amp numbers. But FXO is the final assembler's stamp is always put here, and FXO is Hanel. Now, if you know about Klaus Epsholt's database of StG44s, MP43s, MP44s, and MKB42s online, this serial number is one of the ones registered in there as a functioning one, and is pretty much run-of-the-mill, nothing special about it for accessories or anything. But so now at this point, you go through, you can unscrew the gas plug, and then go through and clean this. I use 12 gauge shotgun cleaning tools to clean the gas tube, and regular 8mm tools to clean the barrel. This is its original barrel, so it's chambered in 792 by 33 8mm Kurz. So to put it back together, swing your trigger group out of the way, get a hold of your bolt carrier and your bolt. Now they did something here that I've always enjoyed. Right at the point where you need everything to be lining up is right when your gas piston can get caught at the breech end of your barrel. That time it actually went right in exactly as it should. Now, a couple of things to note. Unless you actually operate one of these in the field, or fire one, but usually when people are firing them, they're so excited they don't pay attention to what's going on. But you can see the spring goes that far back into the stock. So when you've got a cheek weld, and you've got your cheekbone sits right in this little curve here, you can hear what's going on here under your ear almost more than you can hear the report and muzzle flash. It's this weird hollow metallic shug 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 sound, and it's that spring operating inside a wood and across metal right here as it goes through. Now, when I first purchased this, and anyone who's ever owned one of these knows, when you look in here, there's a little stamped metal cup. 99% of them have nothing in them. Mine had a rubber stopper, and I saw it in there, and it's just sort of a domed rubber stopper. Fits right in that cup nice and tight. The problem was the first time I fired it, it shattered into about 1 billion pieces because the rubber was so brittle from exposure to oil and breach gases and what have you. So the one that's in here now is made out of urethane and just works as a buffer, and that is, to the best of my knowledge, and I've never had anyone ever corroborate it other than wondering, yeah, why is that little metal cup there? That this is what it was there for. It is for a buffer. And I'm also not beating the hell out of my stock iron or my bolt to fire it when that buffer's in there. So in slides that. That goes in like that. Push it together. Today it's being picky. There, it's all the way in. Okay. Now this is what made the StG44 so great, was you didn't really need super high tolerances to build most of the parts for it. With so many steel stampings used in it, there's a metal block that has the magazine well where the barrel mounts, called a trunnion, that sits right in here, and that's really the only machined part in the receiver. After that, the receiver is just folded around it, pinned in place and welded together and crimped, and that's it. All these parts in here, and this is just stamped sheet metal, are captured by little C-clips, but that's the whole mess inside your trigger group. You can see all those little stamped metal parts in there. Only the hammer and a couple other pieces are actual steel investment castings or forgings, but all the rest are just sheet metal. So they didn't need an arms manufacturer per se to make every little part of it. They could take something like this handguard and go to a little tinsmith in a town in the middle of nowhere and tell them, make us 175 of these, or 200 or whatever. And little German tinsmith would sit down and start hammering them out. Or they were stamped and then folded, or maybe he did it just in a small shop where they just made bicycle parts. Now they're making machine gun parts. Whoop. There's the stick back through. Turn the gun upside down. Place the handguard on it. Now, things learned from using one in the field and firing thousands of rounds through it. Now, I understand this is a collector's piece, and people tell me I'm crazy for using it in reenacting, or I'm crazy for firing rounds blank or live through it, and it should be in a safe and worshipped once a year on my birthday or something. This was a wedding present from my wife, and at the time I was a young, fit Panzer Grenadier and could leap out over the side of half tracks with a real StG44 in my hand. I'm too old and fat for that now and better suited to crew service weapons. That's why I will be manning a flak gun. Now, in the field, you'll see the soldat hold the rifle either here or here. And that's counterintuitive to everything we're taught about magazine-fed weapons. They'll tell you, oh, if you touch the bullet, it'll misalign it and things. This one fits pretty well, but you can see how much play there is in the magazine. And that's not because it's 80 years old. I've had brand new magazines that fit this thing like throwing a banana up Broadway. I've had other ones that had to be modified ever so slightly to get them to go into the weapon and actually lock into place. So what you do when you see someone holding it, they fired it before. And the trick is when you hold on to the magazine, push forward a little bit. It stops all the movement, the random movement between the bolt and the magazine. It locks the magazine down. Now all the bolt can jump all over as it will, riding back and forth in the receiver, but you've reduced the number of chances that your weapon will have to malfunction by holding the magazine firmly. Also, and this is true after about one magazine in heavy fire, you don't want to hold on to it here, and definitely not here. This part of the weapon where the chamber is gets so hot so fast you would not believe it. Same with MP40s. That's why you'll see how they hold on to those completely different than what it shows in the manual. I have a friend of mine, he has the whole front sight, barrel nut, and side of the barrel and rest from an MP40 tattooed on the inside of his arm right here. He had just fired his weapon and someone reached for it and he pinned it to his side to keep them from touching it and burned holy hell out of his arm doing it. So I'll have a million people come on and say, well, that's not what it says in there, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. You can read all you want. The manual says just to put your head through the sling and hang it on your chest. There's a famous picture of a soldier in a quite a muddy ditch, and that's how he's wearing the STG, and everyone flips out about that. Well, the thing is, in the manual, they're wearing M36 uniforms, and they all have either MP43s or MP44s hanging on their chest with their head through the sling. But most of the people I have discussions with about this weapon have never actually seen one or handled one until they get their hands on this one. This one's appeared in a bunch of movies, bunch of television shows. It's on about 3 different YouTube channels. One where the gentleman field strips it. But I figure my gun, my content. But owning this, oh, and there's a little Staubsteckel. Just like on an M16. Now you know where it came from. And it pops open as soon as the bolt moves. Now for the care and feeding of your StG44, these are 3 original boxes of Kurzpatron short ammunition for the MP44, MP43, StG44 family of weapons. This is the first time this box has ever been opened. You can see it's a gray lacquered, green lacquered steel case. It's essentially what they did was they took a German 8mm Mauser rifle round, which unfortunately I don't happen to have any laying around right now. Otherwise I'd show you for comparison. But they shortened the case from 57mm to 33mm, use the identical projectile. They just set it a little further back into the case than is normal. And there you have the first effective 1945 dated, just like the rifle. The first effective intermediate rifle round that was mass produced and actually employed in combat. As you can see, there are shaky hands McGee. There are 15 rounds in the box. And there's the label on the live ammunition. So once you've got it loaded up, this is your safety lever, or safe, and F for FOIA. And this is the selector switch. When you look at it from the top, there's a little flat on it that's stamped with the letter E for Einzelfeuer. Push it through, and on the top on this side, you can see it says D for Dauer, or continuous fire. It fires about 550 rounds a minute. I've had it on 2 different chronographs, and it's come in 525, 550, depending on the ammo. But it's simple, easy to control, minimal recoil. There is footage of children using them at the end of the war. Any kid over the age of 8 with some instruction and some prior knowledge of firearms could fire it fairly accurately too. But it's not, I mean, if you watch Fury, you see the muzzle blast coming off of Brad Pitt's StG44. Looks insane, but that's Hollywood blanks. They have to be huge flashes to actually show up on the film and get caught on enough frames that the human eye can see them. But if you see live fires shot with film, you almost never see a muzzle flash. But it's easy recoil. If you can hold it up like a pistol, you could probably fire it like a pistol. Not accurately, but I have done it and got them all to go downrange in the same direction. The myth of the climbing machine gun notwithstanding. But it's an excellent overall condition. Some wear to the finish, but that's about it. Like I said, it's FXO marked, so it's made by Hanel. I'm not going to read my serial number off. If you can see it, you can see it. If you can't, you can't. But it's 1945 dated. And I don't think I have, no I don't. Someone lifted, I had a reproduction manual in it, and someone lifted it out of here. But that's it. Like I said, I've owned it since 2001, and I really wouldn't trade it for any other weapon in the world as it pertains to reenacting. It is just cool. Here you can see the back of the magazine catch, the position of the selector switch went on full auto. Now the cool thing and the interesting thing about, there's 2 complete different sets of sears, one for full auto, one for semi-auto. And they both run at the same time all the time as long as the bolt's moving. How you select the final function of the weapon is you basically adjust this button, adjust which trigger or which firing train the trigger will engage. It's overly complicated, and when people talk about it being copied to make the AK-47, I laugh. An AK-47 selector system is a lever, a pin, 2 springs, a cam, a sear. It's like 7 pieces. There's 25 or 6 pieces packed inside this trigger group. It's just, to say that they're the same, other than being built in a straight line design and using stampings, and the early AKs did not use stampings, they were machined. It's the later ones that are the stamped receivers, post-war. But did Kalashnikov see it? Yeah, I'm sure he did. They had captured weapon shows in just about every country involved in the conflict. We had a Japanese Zero built on it. We had made it so it would fit on a trailer, and we dragged it around from town to town raising money for the war effort. But to say that it's a copy, it's the same general idea. That's like saying if I drew a car and said, make this work with an internal combustion engine and it has to go 100 kilometers an hour. Everyone could build a car, but each one would be a little different. Like I said, this is the main inline design, elevated parallel sight tangent. The inline design, the use of steel stampings made it a very modern weapon for the time. Manufacturing techniques in Germany were just increasing in accuracy. Oddly enough, while their factories were being bombed out of existence, production was going up. And this is what they were producing. People will show you one rifle in a book. It's a piece of wood with a barrel hooked on it. Looks like something a kid made in a garage. That's true. They were also making those, but they were making these in 1945. And by the judging by the letter series on this one was made in probably the last 60 days of the war. So even while their factories were going away, they were still producing stuff that is still functioning 80 years later. Now, would I take this into actual combat? I don't think so. I like modern. I like new. For depending my life on it, I'll take modern or new. But it's ingenious use of investment castings. Drop the requirement for machining hours very low. Like the MP40 and the other full autos, it has the barrel nut on the end to protect the muzzle from getting beat up. Now, some of the guns marked StG44 are actually made on MP44 receivers, and you can see the MP44 stamp underneath the STG stamp. This one, however, was made far enough into the production run. It is just stamped STG, which stands for Sturmgewehr. Sturm meaning assault, Gewehr meaning rifle. People argue about that all the time, saying that Sturm means storm. It's a storm rifle. Well, to storm the castle is to assault the castle. So what you're doing is a direct translation and not a colloquial translation, as the word would actually be used by the Germans, and what it would mean assault, like Sturmpionier. Sturmpioniers are assault engineers, not storm engineers. Hello, Flak Pack. It's Sunday night. You know what that means. The newest video has been uploaded to the Flak Pack YouTube channel. Remember to like, subscribe, and share the channel, and give us feedback on the video and let us know what you think of it.